you are rejoining me for a continuation of the extensive grammar review. So we've looked at the present tense, and now I want to look at reflexive verbs. The reflexive verbs are, remember, verbs that the action comes back to the subject of a sentence. So like a normal verb, I can say like je, I don't know, je lave la voiture. So I am washing the car. So in this case, the word laver is not reflexive because the verb gives its action to another object. Like who or what am I washing? The car. Okay, non-reflexive. I'm not being washed. The car is being washed. But if this were a reflexive verb and I said je me lave, now we know that I am washing myself. Like I, the speaker, the subject of the sentence, is the one receiving the action. I can even put a body part on there, like je me lave les mains, for example. So literally, it's like I'm washing myself the hands, but the hands are a part of my body, so it's happening to me, like they're on me, so it's a part of me. So that makes, so that makes se laver reflexive, whereas laver is not. Okay, so some verbs could go either way. It just depends on if the action is going somewhere else or if the action is reflected back on the subject of a sentence. So let's look at it just in the present tense here, although we'll look at it in quite a few other scenarios here in just a little bit. So right now, basically most of the reflexive verbs are regular ER verbs, which we recalled how to do that up here, where you just take off the ER and it's E, ESE, ONSEZ, ENT. That's most of the time the ending of the verb, but it's what do you do with that se part, okay? So you know a verb is reflexive because it's got a se in front of it. It's not just lave, but se lave. So it's what do you do with this part that we need to recall. So if it was a je, you're going to change the se to me, okay? If it was a tu, you'll change the se to te. And if it was il or elle, it will stay se. Now, all three of those, if the next word, like the verb, started with a vowel, the me would be m apostrophe, and the te would be t apostrophe, and the se would be s apostrophe. So the te contracts into t apostrophe, which is why tu never contracts in normal standard French. Okay, so the me te se, and then on the plural side, the nous, this is where you double the nous. So you have nous, the subject of the sentence, we, and then the se also becomes nous. So it's a nous. Same thing, it's a vous. So the se changes to vous. And then in the il or the elle form, the plural, it will stay se as well. So the whole bottom line is se. So that's what you do with the se part of it. And then the verb itself, like I said a moment ago, most of them, I'd say 90% of them or more, are regular ER verbs. So if I'm conjugating in the present tense, I would just take off that ER, and that's where it becomes lave with an E, lave with an ES, lave with an E. You got a nous lavons if we're washing ourselves, a vous lavez, and an il se lave. Okay. If you wanted to make that negative, for example, je me lave, I'm washing myself. If you want to make it negative, I'm going to put the ne pas around the verb like you always do, except for remember this me is actually part of this verb. The whole thing was a reflexive verb. So the ne pas will go around the whole thing. So je ne me lave pas would make that negative. And if I'm not washing my hands, I would put the les mains on there, but they don't go, the ne pas doesn't go around that because hands are not a verb. You can't hands somebody. So the ne pas just goes around the se lave, however that got conjugated in there. Okay, there's a couple of exceptions to remember here, and I'm trying to think of what they are because I'm doing this without notes, but I know, for example, like se lever is one of them, the verb like to get up. Verbs that are like this, in the L shape, this first E is going to get an accent grave when you conjugate it, like se promener is one of them too. So this first E is going to get an accent grave. So if I want to say I get up or I stand up or whatever, je me lève, and that lève will have the accent grave. And the tu te lèves, you get up, that's going to have it on there. The il se lève, he gets up there. And it'll even be on this one, il se lève, okay? But it won't be on the nous or the vous. So nous levons, whoops, and vous levez. It's not going to have it on there, okay? So words like se lever, se promener, I'm sure there's a few others that just aren't coming to mind. I'm trying to think of what other exceptions there are. There's one where the accent flips to a grave, but I'm not remembering what that is right now. Like I said, most of them are ER verbs, but every once in a while, like s'endormir, for example, is the verb to fall asleep. And you probably recognize that because like dormir is the verb to sleep, so s'endormir is to fall asleep. And so notice that's not a regular ER verb, so it's going to get conjugated just like dormir normally would. So like if I'm falling asleep, je m'endors, and it would be that door, like that doors, dort, we talked about in the present tense. So tu t'endors, and il s'endort. So notice it's that doors, dort. And notice because it starts with a vowel, that's getting that M apostrophe, T apostrophe, S apostrophe. So nous endormons, vous endormez, etc. So if it's not a regular ER verb, it would be conjugated just like the regular verb would be. It just happens to be that most of them are ER. I wish I could think of whatever one I'm trying to think of that has the accent grave that switches, but oh well, this should be good for now. So that's how you do reflexive verbs in the present tense. And I've still got some time left on this video, so I'm going to actually go ahead and do the next couple of them as well. I say that, but I'm just realizing it's because I forgot to set the timer. So I'm going to talk about, you know what? No, I'm actually going to stop the verb right now, or stop the video right now, because I'm going to try to get these all under 15 minutes. Okay, so those are reflexive verbs where the action is reflected back on the speaker. Okay, that's it for those.